Hello, my dear friends. It's with great joy that I welcome you to our, what we have come to call our Guru Day retreat. We've tried usually to schedule it around the full moon in July, which is Guru Purnima, one of the most sacred days in the Indian holiday tradition. This year we held out past July in the hope that we could be closer together physically as well as spiritually, but God has His own plans for all of us this year. But what we know is God's plan for all of us this year is that we draw closer and closer to the Divine Self. And even as the external world becomes more unpredictable, the inner world becomes ever more reliable. And especially the one fixed reality in this world at this time is the unconditional love of the Masters and their profound guiding presence for each one of us. Sister Gyanamata, Master's most advanced woman disciple, wrote him one of what I think is her most touching letters to him. And she spoke in support of his wonderful world mission and ushering in a new age and bringing East and West together and responding to the call of Christ and Babaji, all of these glorious realities. But then she wrote to Master these simple words: "I like to think you came just for me." And this is the beautiful balance of the devotee's life, which is, on one hand, we are lost in awe-filled admiration for the selfless sacrifice of the Masters for the world. And then all of that infinite greatness comes down to a very, very private relationship between the devotee and God. It is the ultimate love affair. And every human love that we pursue with so much determination is merely the training ground so that we can learn to love, so that ultimately we can love perfectly. So that is what we're here to do tonight. We're here to make an exceedingly personal connection with each of our Masters and with the infinite spirit behind each one. And so we have decorated our temple with individual altars dedicated to each of the Masters, plus, of course, the main altar, which is always there with all their pictures. And we will be focusing one by one on each of our 5 gurus, and then finally in gratitude to Swami Kriyananda for all that he has brought us of attunement to these Masters and all that he has shown us about how to be a disciple. As we focus one by one on each of these Masters, I or someone else will speak a little bit about what that Master, one aspect of what that Guru can bring to us. We will chant, we will do an arati on behalf of all of you, and if in your own home you have set up your own altar with your own candles, or even if you have not, you may stand or sit or kneel and make your own offering to each of the Masters with the candle in your hand, with your heart in your hand, however it feels to you. Usually we are all together in doing this, which lends a certain power to it. There's no doubt that we love being together to worship God. But inasmuch as God has separated us, and many of you will be alone, let us see what special gift can be given to each one of us in our singular relationship with the Divine. There's a wonderful story about the Gopis of Krishna, that they all went out dancing the Rasa Lila, it's called. And every devotee of Krishna, every gopi, felt that Krishna was dancing alone with her. And her is the feminine devotion before the one male principle in the universe, which is God. So this night, always in our hearts, Krishna is dancing with us. God is dancing alone with his devotee. Tonight, some of us actually are alone. And let us make that an opportunity not for loneliness, but for blissful solitude with God. So there will be chanting, there will be an arati, there will be a song dedicated to that master. There will be silent meditation. And then we will move on to the next master. So this night can be a watershed moment for all of our lives. As many things, as I was saying, in our world are changing around us, the impetus to go to the one unchanging reality of God's love for us. The incentive is stronger than ever, and with the incentive comes the opportunity. And let us make that opportunity our own. We'll now begin with a prayer, naming each of the gurus. And as we pray, feel that you are personally greeting each of the masters as if they were walking in the door of your meditation room, or if you want to think of it, into the temple of your heart, one by one. And as we say the name of each one, touch the feet, open your heart, ask for their blissful presence to come into you, to guide you, to transform you. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, friend, beloved God, Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Lahiri Mahashaya, Swami Sri Yukteswar, beloved Master, Paramhansa Yogananda, saints of all religions, dearest friend Swami Kriyananda, lovingly we bow at your feet. As we kneel before you, place your hands upon our heads. Give us your blessing, the greatest blessing of all, that we may love thee, heart, mind, and soul, and all desires, fears, and worries will be dissolved in the experience of your love. Om. Peace. Amen.
I want only thee, Lord, thee, only thee. 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 Let's meditate together for a few moments. I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord, who made the heavens and the earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Lord shall preserve thy going out and even forevermore.
Less than a year ago, I spent most of a month in Jerusalem, in Israel, much of it in Jerusalem. And I actually was in the places where Jesus was. And of course, where Jesus is wherever we are. Where two or more are gathered together in his name, there am I in the midst of them. That's what he said. And he actually meant by that even where two or more of our own thoughts are gathered in the thought of Jesus, then Jesus is already with us, because it is his presence that inspires us even to gather in that way. But there was and is an extraordinary power in the place where Jesus was. And I was thinking, remembering particularly, the Garden of Gethsemane. And the Garden of Gethsemane is remembered mostly as a place of sorrow, because it was from there that Jesus was taken by the Roman cohort and eventually condemned and crucified. But the Garden of Gethsemane was also a place of great joy for all the disciples, because the reason he was there and was known to be there was because he often went there with his disciples to share with them, to teach, to sing, to pray, to simply enjoy the wonderfulness of the extraordinary message, which he called the good news. There's a place in the Bible where he talks about how you will be persecuted because you have loved me, the world will hate you, Jesus said. But he said, be of good cheer, for I have conquered the world. And that is really how we have to think of the life of Christ. So going back there to the Garden of Gethsemane, there's a church there. It's called the Church of All Nations. Many countries combined together, putting aside their sectarian differences, and built a Church of All Nations there around what is called the Rock of the Agony, because it was the place where Jesus sat and where Jesus prayed, and where his disciples were unable to stay awake even through the whole night, and he knew what was about to come. But what he felt was not a personal anxiety about what was about to happen to him. The fate of his body was a matter of complete indifference to him. If he'd been concerned about his body, he never would have taken incarnation. Greater can no love be than this. And this applies not only to Jesus, but to all our masters. From a life of infinite joy and freedom in God, willingly to embrace limitation, pain, and death for the salvation of others. Such ever has been the sacrifice of the great masters for the world. So what we feel and what Jesus was agonizing about at that point was that he knew that many of those he could have lifted up into the light were going to yet turn away from the light one more time. And the compassion that Jesus feels for us, that all the masters feel, but that Jesus especially, what he represents, at least in my own heart, is this extraordinary compassion of the divine. And it's quite a powerful force if we are able to receive it. Compassion means complete understanding. Swami Kriyananda had a phrase that he sometimes used. Well, actually, he said it first from Master. When Master was watching one of his disciples do something that was somewhat ludicrous in itself, and Master was amused by the silliness of what the man was trying to do, being a dancer when he wasn't really a dancer. And Master had enough detachment from the human comedy to enjoy it. But afterwards, when the man himself felt that he hadn't been appreciated for his artistic efforts, Master was completely sympathetic, and the words he used were, "I understand." And once when Swami Kriyananda was in the middle of many conflicting points of view about something that we thought to do, no matter who came and spoke to him, no matter what their reasoning, Swami always said, "I understand why you feel that way." And he really did. And what Jesus brings to us is Jesus understands why we feel this way, why we long for God on one side and then cling to the smallest desires on the other, why we make strong resolutions about how our lives are going to be and what we're going to do and the disciplines we're going to follow and who I'm going to be from this point forth, and then weep when the day is over because we haven't been able to live up to what we aspire to do. And Jesus whispers in our heart, "I understand. I understand why you feel that way." Now, pause for a moment and think inside yourself what it means to be genuinely understood. I had a touch of that in my years of friendship with Swami Kriyananda. As I reflect back over 4.5 decades of life with him, I try to sometimes think, how would I characterize it in just a few words? But I think that phrase, "I understand why you feel that way," might be one of the most compelling and uplifting experiences of divine friendship that he gave to me. And the balance of it, and certainly the life of Christ, he stands there, he doesn't say, "Therefore, therefore I excuse your weakness. Therefore you may remain as you are. Therefore there's no reason for you to try." Because he also knew that which I do, ye shall do, and greater things. Now think about that. Jesus stood on the pinnacle of divine realization. And he looked at those around him and said, "Why do you call me master? I call you friend. I see you as my own, as my equal, as my companion. And that which I do, ye shall do also." Now, most of us do not believe in ourselves as much as God believes in us, as much as Christ believes in us. Think again for a moment, where 2 or more thoughts of my own are gathered together, there is the divine power within me. Where do my thoughts of God come from? What inspires me to lift my heart in devotion at all? It is that loving presence of Jesus sacrificing all for us, inviting us to be perfect even as he was perfect, even as our Father in heaven is perfect, to walk side by side with him. Jesus' life ended when he was still a young man, and most of his disciples were young as he was. With that fire and fun and joyful upliftment and be of good cheer. The world is very much with us these days. We are not living in isolation. We are not living in calm certainty. The world that Jesus walked into was tempestuous in ways that we can hardly imagine. He came to enlighten an oppressed people. He came to the Essene community, which even within the Jewish community was oppressed by the priesthood. And Jesus said, it's true. The world is not necessarily going to embrace you as its own. But be of good cheer, he said, for I have conquered the world. And standing with him, that good cheer can also be ours. Because through him, through our devotion to him, through our surrender, through our cooperation, and through His grace, we too can conquer this world. And the joy, the challenge, and then the joy. The challenge, and then the joy. But the end of the life of Jesus was not when He was arrested and crucified. The end of the life of Jesus is when He stood up after the worst that the world could throw at Him and was nothing but radiant light. That's His promise. And it's not just a promise that, oh, you can manage that, is, I will help you. Open your heart to me, the Master says, and I will enter and take charge of your life. I bring you the good news. I have conquered the world. And with me, you may also conquer it. God bless you.
They have heard thy name, the blind, halt, and lame. They have heard thy name, the blind, halt, and lame. Those who are in despair, wipe thou their tears. Those who are in despair, wipe thou their tears. They have come to thy door, Lord. They have come to thy door. Give them an audience, Lord. They have heard thy name, the blind, halt, and lame. They have heard thy name, the blind, halt, and lame. Those who are drowned in sin, to whom will they go? Those who are drowned in sin, to whom will they go? They have no one, Lord, they have no one. Do not turn them away. They have heard thy name, the blind, halt, and lame. They have heard thy name, the blind, halt, and lame. They have come to thy door, Lord. They have come to thy door. Give them an audience, Lord. They have heard thy name, the blind, halt, and lame. They have heard thy name, the blind, halt, and lame. Those who are in despair, wipe thou their tears. Those who are in despair, wipe thou their tears. They have come to thy door, Lord. They have come to thy door. Give them an audience, Lord. They have heard thy name, the blind, halt, and lame. They have heard thy name, the blind, halt, and lame. Those who are drowned in sin, to whom will they go? Those who are drowned in sin, to whom will they go? They have no one, Lord, they have no one. Do not turn them away. They have heard thy name, the blind, halt, and lame. They have heard thy name, the blind, halt, and lame. They have come to thy door, Lord. They have come to thy door. Give them an audience, Lord. Give them an audience, Lord. Give them an audience, Lord.
Thy will, thy will, thy will be done. All that I am is thine. All that I am. Nothing of man endures wonder or scorn. Birth, life, and death are one. Wills of thy love. Thy will, thy will, thy will alone. All that I've done is thine. All that I've done. Let's meditate together now. As you can see this evening, we are going to be going on a pilgrimage around the stage. Every few minutes, the focus is going to shift on a different guru. And right now, we are on the altar of Babaji, as you can see behind me. Just about a year ago, maybe mostly 10 months ago, I was visiting India and I was on a pilgrimage. I was traveling with a friend of mine and I was visiting some places in the high Himalayas, this very ancient sacred temple called Badrinath. And from there, my friend and I went on a hike high up into the mountains. We went on a sacred holy trail. And both the temple in Badrinath and the trail that we were on, all these places have a close association with Babaji. And, I've shared with many of my friends details of the trip and some of my experiences, and that's not what I plan to do today. There's one incident from that trip that came to my mind as I was thinking about Babaji yesterday. It's a very interesting one. As I was traveling with my friend on this trail, this was way high up in the mountains. The temple itself is at around 11,000 feet, and we were going above that, up to about 16,000 feet above sea level. And we were way above tree line. There were no villages or not many people, but still there were a lot of pilgrims. It was the summer months, and a lot of people were on the sacred trail, and people from many different spiritual traditions, paths, and affiliations. And there was this one interesting thing I was starting to note from day 2 or 3 of the hike, which was this interesting looking flag. It was a triangular flag with just 2 colors, red and white, with 3 bands. And I was starting to see this flag everywhere, on tiny hillocks, on rocks, on pilgrimage sites. And then I started noticing that some of the people were carrying these flags. And then we saw a large group of devotees camping in the mountains, and they had hoisted this flag above their campsite. And I got very curious, and I started approaching people. What is this flag? Why is everybody carrying this flag? And I started getting different responses from different people. One of them, who was not Indian, he was from some European country, he said, "Oh, you don't know this flag? This is the Babaji flag." And I was like, "No, I have no idea." And he was looking at me like I knew nothing. And I said, "I have never heard about the Babaji flag." And then somebody else was telling me, "This is the flag of the yogis of Satopan. This is the flag of this region." And I was getting more and more curious, after I was talking to 3 or 4 more people, and, everybody just had a different version of the origin, the history of this flag. And when we got back to Badrinath at the end of the hike, I was in for a big surprise. As soon as I came to the town, I realized that this flag was everywhere. It was almost like I never noticed it while I had visited Badrinath previously, or even before I started the hike, but now I couldn't stop seeing it. It was on every house, every street corner, every rock, every temple. And I started going around asking people, what's the deal with this flag? What is the origin? Did Babaji come and give this to somebody? Did somebody see it in their vision? Where did this come from? And then as I was walking, I went past the main temple in Badrinath, which is the ancient shrine and many believe to be dedicated to Babaji. The biggest version of that flag, huge, was on the top of the temple, on top of the tower of the temple. And then I asked one of the locals who has been in Badrinath for many generations and who was responsible for that temple, "What is this flag? Is this the Babaji flag that's on the Badrinath temple?" And he looked at me like, "Who's Babaji?" "This is the Badrinath flag." At this point, it was a clear sign from the universe I was going to give up on my quest. I was not going to reach to any answer. But almost as I was smiling at all the different responses I was receiving, I could almost hear a voice in my own heart that this flag that I'm looking at, it is everything and yet nothing. And the spirit of Babaji was so self-evident to me in that moment, because there were all these people claiming different affiliations and paths and tradition and trying to explain this flag to me. And here I was, trying to comprehend with my mind. The historian in me was very restless. I wanted to know the origin, the history of how this came about, who brought this, and why is this here. But this was not something that I could conceive with my mind. As Sri Yukteswar says in the autobiography of a yogi, the dwarfed vision of men cannot perceive the transcendental star that is Babaji. I was thinking about it, and he uses various words. It is beyond human comprehension. These are exactly quoting from the autobiography. Men cannot conceive of Babaji's stature. And I was thinking, what is said about this consciousness, this being, this great avatar, that he's so beyond comprehension, that he's so transcendental, this transcendental star that is beyond the perception of our dwarfed vision. He is beyond, he stands outside of all of it, and as many are the paths that people are tracing to reach to him, he is coming through, he is reaching them through all these different ways, and yet he sits outside of all of that. In fact, of the 5 gurus of our path, we often associate Babaji with India because, we all know that he's still living in the high Himalayas above the regions of Badrinath. And I was thinking of the 5 gurus, Babaji is the one who has the least affiliation with culture or nationality or tradition because, you see Jesus, nobody has photographs of Jesus, but, he's represented with whatever people imagine to be of biblical times. And the other gurus we have clear photographs of, so we have, ways to identify them. And Babaji, Master clearly described and has given us this picture, visual representation of what Babaji is like. And yet, it is pretty nondescript. He's a young man, matted hair. There are no symbols on his forehead. He's not wearing any jewelry. There is no garlands. He's just wearing a simple loincloth. He could be from anywhere, any time period. He is not necessarily from the 20th century or the 19th century. He doesn't look Indian. He's as Indian as he's Chinese or American or European or wherever he's from. And not just that, even the name Babaji. Master could have easily said, this great deathless yogi living in the Himalayas, his name is Satchidananda, or, some esoteric Sanskrit word that required interpretation, but his name is Babaji. That's how devotees refer to him. It's not even a Sanskrit word, just the syllable pa or ba. It's just how universally you refer to the Father. Babaji simply is the revered Father. There is no explanation. He's quite outside of all the things that limit our minds, all the things that we are bound by on this mundane plane of existence, our human condition. But the interesting part of the story here is not how far outside of all this he is, but the fact that while being transcendent, while standing so far beyond everything that limits us on this plane, he is so deeply involved in our everyday lives. And that is the message that the autobiography presents to us of how Babaji is trying to inspire nations. How Babaji has a specific interest in bringing the teachings of yoga and self-realization to the West. And you think of, the high Himalayas. I, for one, have had the good fortune of visiting the high Himalayas quite a few times. And I can tell you, once I'm there, I can almost not even remember the details of my everyday life. And here I'm standing and speaking to you from our temple in Palo Alto. You can almost hear the subtle buzz of the traffic on El Camino. And, I don't even have to start talking about the interesting times that we are living in right now. We are in the middle of a global pandemic. And not just that, just this past week or 10 days, there's been this huge wave of forest fires that has sort of turned our lives upside down for those of us in Northern California. And on top of all this, I was driving back from somewhere this morning and I was scrolling through my newsfeed on the phone, and one after another, the political climate in the country right now is very charged. There was one convention and there was another convention. So first the news was filled with this party and then the news is filled with this other party. And, there's so much even to process or to digest on an everyday basis. And almost your mind wants to think of the crags of the high Himalayas where Babaji lives. There's no need for social distancing, I can assure you. There's not many people there. Probably nobody has tested positive. And it seems like a world that is so far beyond. And yet, this consciousness of Babaji that is so accessible to us right now at this moment, as Master says in the AY, anytime anyone utters the name of Babaji with reverence, he attracts to himself an instant spiritual blessing. I love the word instant. It is not that you somehow move towards some goal. You have it right now in this moment. That's what is instant. And the sweetest part of the story is not even how great this avatar is or how much he is taking care of the larger progressions of events on this planet. But the sweetest part is this, that he is aware and conscious of our existence. In the autobiography of a yogi, Master again says, I'm revealing very few facts about Babaji in the pages of this book, those facts that he deems fit to be publicly imparted. And he goes on to say, Babaji can be seen or recognized only if he himself so desires. And I extend that idea that Master is presenting. Not only was Babaji present in that book, not only did Yogananda ji write about this great avatar because Babaji wanted his presence to be revealed, but each one of us found our way into this. We found out about Babaji. We found out through a Google search, by reading the autobiography or coming to a meditation class, because he so desired that we also come to this point of knowing who Babaji is. And that is the sweetest part of all this. There's this chant that Yogananda ji wrote that we often chant here, "Thou art my life." And the lines that I like the most, I'm sure many of you recall this from this chant: "Devotee knows how sweet you are, he knows whom you let know." And for us, it is worth meditating on with open hearts and gratitude that we have been chosen. We have been chosen because Babaji desired that we know about him, that we come together this evening, we celebrate his presence in our lives, we honor him with this beautiful altar, we come together, we meditate together on Facebook or live stream, or maybe you're seeing this video later in time, months from now, years from now. But all of that is happening in accordance to his will, and that he is aware of the devotion of each one of our hearts. And the instant spiritual blessing is waiting right now in this moment, because he is willing and ready to give it to us. So let's dive deep in meditation, calling to Babaji. What else is worth doing than to utter his name, to think about him every moment, to attract that spiritual blessing?
No birth, no death, no caste have I. No birth, no death, no caste have I. Father, mother have I none. Father, mother have I none. I am he, blessed Spirit, I am he. I am he, blessed Spirit, I am he. Mind nor intellect nor ego feeling, mind nor intellect nor ego feeling. Sky nor earth nor metals am I, sky nor earth nor metals am I. I am he, blessed Spirit, I am he. I am he, blessed Spirit, I am he. No birth, no death, no caste have I. No birth, no death, no caste have I. Father, mother have I none. Father, mother have I none. I am he, blessed Spirit, I am he. I am he, blessed Spirit, I am he. Mind nor intellect nor ego feeling, mind nor intellect nor ego feeling. Sky nor earth nor metals am I, sky nor earth nor metals am I. I am he, blessed Spirit, I am he. I am he, blessed Spirit, I am he. No birth, no death, no caste have I. No birth, no death, no caste have I. Father, mother have I none. Father, mother have I none. I am He, I am He, Blessed Spirit, I am He, I am He, I am He, Blessed Spirit, I am He, oh, I am He, I am He, Blessed Spirit, I am He, I am He, I am He, Blessed Spirit, I am He, oh, I am He, I am He, Blessed Spirit, I am He. Through many lives I've drunk the cup of laughter. No man could tell the pleasures I have known. The stars in the endless sky, if one could count, would come to billions. Yet as vast as are their numbers, so many years I've wandered far from you. Through many lives I've drunk the cup of sorrow. No man could tell the bitter tears I've shed. The drops in the endless sea, if one could count, would come to billions. Yet as vast as are their numbers, so many years I've wandered far from you. Through countless lives I've sought your cup of sweetness, found other cups, yet thirsted evermore. The streams in the hills of time all found their way into a desert. Every noon of bright fulfillment, ere many hours did sink to evening gloom. I long for you in summer and in winter, only for you my heart thirsts day and night. I've learned that the sweetest songs ears ever heard were but your echo. Lord, at last fill me completely, for nevermore I'd wander far from you. Lord, at last fill me completely, for nevermore I'd wander far from you.
Let's meditate together now.